Metalhead is a mech action game developed and published by Sega for the 32X. It was originally intended as a launch title in 1994, but was pushed back, missing that window. In early 1995, the game was released to mixed reviews. So how does it hold up today? Let's have a look. This is Retro Impressions and Reviews, a show dedicated to answering if video games from the past are still worth your time today. Metalhead is set in a world that's controlled by a mech-wielding terrorist organization. You're a random pilot of a random mech that's part of a special forces team whose main mission is to destroy the terrorist headquarters. It's not much of a story, but it gets the job done. The game is broken down into 6 stages containing 2 to 3 missions apiece. You receive the objective at the start of the stage from either an American-style animated character.
That's why we've chosen this area to launch a surprise attack.
An odd-looking digitized actor,
Your first mission, destroy all enemy mechs in the city near the border.
or an anime character that can only be accessed by holding down A, B, C, and Start as you boot the game, then pressing them again at the title screen. I prefer the American animated style as the digitized video is a bit off for me, and while the anime style looks good, it's not voiced. The choice is yours though, under the option menu, Your Team. Which one do you prefer? The 6-button gamepad is used to the fullest extent possible. There are a ton of different configurations, including assigning dash to C or activating it by double tapping the D-pad twice in the direction you want to move. You can look to the side, move sideways, change and fire your weapons. It's also worth mentioning that this is one of the few games to use the mode button as an actual in-game button. If that sounds interesting, I cover this in depth in my mode button series. Let's check out the HUD. Your health is displayed as powered, your current equipped weapon is displayed in the center, and the furthest window to the right shows you various info letting you know when you've been hit or when you've hit an enemy. A map is displayed at the top right, but becomes disabled if your power dips below 40. Getting into the game, the first stage consists of clearing the area of enemies, avoiding a bomber who's helping you take out terrorist mechs, and finally taking out the commander who's in a tank. When you finish the first mission and every mission after, you're given the option to spend the points you've earned to outfit your mech. These are not upgradable from mission to mission, and they don't carry over from level to level. It's a really neat idea, but nearly everything you can purchase is junk. In fact, you need to be careful here as it's easy to accidentally select something you didn't intend to, ending up with a weapon set that will surely get you killed. I once ended up with only the stock hammer knuckle, which is an awful melee weapon and nothing else. I realized right away that I misclicked, but there is no going back once you screw up. So on to mission 2, and we're looking for the enemy's base. Run around until you locate it, the mech will snap a picture, then return to a helicopter waiting for you. It's then time to escort the helicopter back to the base door so it can blow it open. It's kind of silly and hard to believe that the payload required to blow the door open couldn't be equipped to the much larger mech. With the entrance now open, we're given orders to head inside, seek and destroy a generator, then get the heck out. It's fairly straightforward and super simple. Mission 3 starts with another elimination level. The twist here is that nightfall is fast approaching, and eventually your night vision will need to be activated. It's a really cool effect, as you can see it getting darker and darker as time moves on. Eventually, you'll need to take down the captain of this unit. In the process, your night vision can become disabled, making the battle much more intense than it would have been otherwise. Mission 4 sends you out to destroy a building by blowing up a trailer filled with explosives that have been parked in front. I guess the building is blocking a path, and now it's got to go. You're then sent to take out a train, head to the tracks, take down any mechs that approach, and after about a minute and a half, the train will arrive. Again, it's all fairly easy going. Mission 5 has you trying to take out a new style mech that's in transport before it can be assembled. This is the only mission I use lasers on, as they are extremely slow, making most targets almost impossible to hit. I don't think it's possible to destroy the transport truck, but you can take down the ones defending it. At the end of the stage, a crane will assemble the mech, and you'll have to take it down. With that out of the way, it's back to the terrorist base, and this time we're looking for a way to access the lower level. Find the elevator, head to the lower level, clear some rooms, and the mission ends with a push-over battle against the leader of Black Death. The last mission starts off in a city capital, and it's another clear the area to progress. We're then informed that the president has been kidnapped and we need to track him down inside of City Hall. Enter the building to find the final boss, who is quite tough, and dispatch him. Cue a small cutscene that hints at a sequel that will never get made, and that's the game. So let's have a look at some common complaints people have, starting with the controls. It's a real mixed bag here, as everything appears to operate smoothly, yet a few decisions heavily contribute to a poor gaming experience. The whole issue centers around aiming and the way the mech moves. Instead of having a smooth rotation, you move in segments about equal to the width of the weapon sights with each press of the D-pad. This was a major issue, causing me to chase after enemy mechs for multiple laps around the block, just trying to get in a hit so they would stop moving and engage me. I'm sure that there were technical issues that kept the game from utilizing smooth, fluid motion, and it's a real shame that something such as an option for auto-targeting wasn't included, as it would have greatly alleviated one of my biggest issues. It's a problem that makes winning battles a real crapshoot that comes down to getting lined up quickly and correctly while praying that the enemy mech isn't in that sweet dead zone between segments that can't be targeted. Another thing this game gets ripped for is the odd digitized video and audio. I can see why people poke fun at the default briefing videos, but the reality is this game includes a great animated option. I rarely see this mentioned, so my guess is most people never mess with this in the option menu. Furthermore, I think the voice quality is fairly reminiscent of what radio-based communication sounds like. This game had an all-star development team. When it comes to the soundtrack, Jun Sonoe of Crush 40, along with a handful of others, did solid work. No track stands out as memorable, but it's enjoyable to listen to, and that in itself is an achievement worth mentioning. A lot of folks like to mention that this game has textured polygons and that it looks great on the 32X. Man, do I disagree. Yeah, it has textured polygons and it still holds up okay if you're standing still, but that's about it. This is far from the top half of the best looking 32X games, as technical achievements have nothing to do with art direction or graphical presentation. While I agree that some of the effects in the buildings look nice, and some are humorously slow in their animated style, what about the enemies? None of the bosses look like anything special, and in most cases, I didn't realize I was fighting an end boss until the level was over, as the designs weren't far removed from standard enemies. While we're at it, I have major issues with the draw distance in particular. Enemies can see and fire on you well before they're visible, making for an unfair experience. All I want is my enemies to have the same disadvantages I do, but they don't, and that becomes problematic. This issue, along with the aiming issue I mentioned earlier, makes this a game where you need to run, avoid, and sneak up on your enemies from behind. It's very beatable, but it really kills the experience unless the experience intended was to pilot a glitchy, defective mech in boring environments. If that's the case, then this game knocks it out of the park. My final score, 3 out of 10. In the end, I found this game to be about as enjoyable as listening to nails on a chalkboard. It's clear why the game missed the launch window, and it still wasn't ready for prime time when it finally saw release. It shows some real promise as an early 3D console tech demo, but fails to be a game that might accidentally be confused with something that's actually enjoyable today. This is a game I've owned since it released in 1995, and sadly it just doesn't hold up to the nostalgia I had for it, or as a quality game. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a positive or negative comment letting me know your thoughts. Click subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'm Jenovi, and this has been Retro Impressions and Reviews.